A new survey done by the Society for Human Research Management found that about 1 in 4 workers say that they have personally experienced differential treatment because of their political views or affiliations. These escalating political tensions at the workplace are creating problems for organizations as we move closer and closer to those midterm elections. So here to help us navigate politics and the office is psychologist and executive coach Dr. Lisa Orbe-Austin. It's a big topic, Lisa. We have to talk about it.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Especially in this climate. So my first question to you is really, should we be avoiding these types of conversations altogether when it comes to work? There was an age-old rule, no religion, no politics. Does that still apply? And is that right now in this climate even realistic?
Yeah, I mean, I think, in some environments in which your politics, your social views do matter to the work that you do, I think it is impossible to avoid. These conversations come up and they come up quite naturally. I do think it's important to think about whether or not it does matter to your work and why are you engaging in the conversation itself, because maybe it is avoidable. And in those cases, you might want to think about why you're doing it and is there a purpose to it.
And we know when people have a view that they want to share, they feel passionate about, these conversations with coworkers can sometimes get a little heated. We're sharing different views. And if they turn into an argument, how do you handle that situation? How do you navigate that or exit, like you said?
Yeah, I think, in the case where you feel like it's escalating to an argument, you really want to think about how you're engaging and probably lean more toward active listening skills. So you want to be paraphrasing what they're saying, kind of trying to understand them better, doing better listening to what's happening, so that you can deepen your understanding of who they are and what's happening for them. I do think, it also is important if it's escalating to a certain point, you want to say, maybe we take a pause on this and talk about this some other time when it's better for both of us. And so I do feel like you want to have exit kind of language to use when it's getting too heated and it's not productive anymore.
And a lot of companies we've seen in the recent years, they're feeling a lot of pressure to kind of weigh in on these political issues. We see plenty of CEOs, they're taking a stance. But what if you don't agree with those takes and then you start feeling uncomfortable and unwelcome in your place of work? At that point, who do you go to? And is it too extreme to start looking for another job?
Yeah, I mean, I think HR is a good place to start if you feel like you need support and you feel like you are being potentially retaliated against because of your political views, and having conversations with them about how to protect yourself in the workplace. I do think, if you feel like the culture of the workplace is becoming toxic and you can't necessarily be your whole self at work, you really want to think about finding organizations that do support you and are aligned with your value set. So there are many, many different options here. So I do think it's important to think about, why are you investing in that workplace if you don't feel safe?
And finally, this research found that they're seeing more polarizing political views within boardrooms. How can that affect the company culture and productivity?
Yeah, I mean, I think the research also said it was becoming more right-leaning. And so I do think it's important to know what your executives are talking about. I think oftentimes we're so caught up with what's happening in our particular division or department, we don't really know what the executives in our company are talking about on investor calls or saying in other places. It's important to kind of know, because that top-down stuff does affect culture significantly. And if you're bothered by it, it's likely to seep down into your level, your department, with it before you know it. So I do think it's important to be knowing what's happening at the top, even if it doesn't feel like generally relevant to your work day to day. It's still important.
All right, Dr. Lisa, thank you so much for your time today, especially on this topic. You guys can find her on social media at Dr. Orbe-Austin. And you have another book coming out this December. It's called Your Unstoppable Greatness. So we'll look out for that.
Thanks, Natalie.